there, this is Ascended Glitch Cat with another shiny hunt that has a story attached. Our protagonist has a special connection to the Pokemon Spiritomb, and he's been trying to help the Wisps out by finding the descendants of some of their original Pokemon. He's not too happy about today's request, though. I'm sorry, you want me to look for what now? Indigo asked the most recent voice in his head, a young man with an airy, whimsical tone who giggled to himself a lot. Oh, nothing. Just, if you had the time, maybe you could find the family of my old Luxio. Indigo ground the heel of his boot into the dry, hard ground of the Coronet Highlands. I heard that part. I was in the middle of a Luxio pack the other day. It was right near here, in fact, where we found your friend Shinx. You could have said something then. Oh, yeah. In my defense, my Luxio wasn't like Benita's Shinx. Not at all. Indigo was afraid to ask. How so? It was evolved, for one. Oh, and her Shinx was very kind-hearted. Mine would bite your hand off if you didn't greet him right. Lovely, Indigo replied, strongly suspecting that particular trait ran in Luxio's family. Nonetheless, he relented. Couldn't show favoritism among Spiritomb's wisps after all. Fine. Let's get this over with. He hadn't gone far from camp when he spotted a group of Luxio standing protectively beside a group of little Shinx, nearly identical to the one he'd tracked before. With Sneasler's aid, he carefully and quietly descended the mountainside. But once he touched ground, he was at risk again. The grass was sparse here. His best bet for staying hidden would be generous pumps of stealth spray and just the right steps between the boulders surrounding... Oh, hi there! Being sneaky, are we? Indigo had gotten used to voices in his mind jumping in with random comments. Not so much voices from around him. He gave a startled yelp, drawing the attention of no less than 4 irritated Luxio, who quickly surrounded him. One of them appeared a golden yellow, a lucky early find he'd been able to spot from his earlier vantage point. But right now, Indigo was more focused on the being surrounded part. He called out his hardiest Pokemon, Umbreon. Then he glanced over his shoulder to see who had spoken to him and yelped again. Vesa! What do you want here, you sneaky, manipulative... Whoa, whoa, she said, holding up her hands. Truce, okay? The Luxio blasted Umbreon with a round of Thunder Waves and Thunderfangs. Umbreon took the hits better than Indigo expected, meaning a full attack might overpower his target. Use Mimic on that last Thunderfang, he said. Then, to Vesa, he added, there is no possible way you're here for a truce. So suspicious. How come? Oh, let's see. Oh, right. You tried to murder me. Umbreon glowed and perked its ears, the new move learned. Then, at Indigo's signal, it unleashed some of its stronger attacks on the regular Luxio, bringing their numbers down. Vesa sighed with exasperation. I knew you would hold that against me. Look, I was frustrated being away from the others. It's very isolating, having 107 constant companions and then being all alone. For the briefest second, Indigo almost believed her. He'd always been a bit of an outcast in his family, after all. Thankfully, the snap of Umbreon's jaws as it went for its newly learned Thunderfang snapped him out of it. He turned his attention back to the battle. The golden yellow Luxio seemed even more aggressive now that its fellows had been taken down. But it also might be vulnerable to capture now, too. Indigo ready to Pokeball. Look, said Vesa, we both know you don't want to stay as part of Spiritomb forever. You want to leave and be your own person again, and I'd like you to leave. We're not so at odds with each other. Indigo focused and threw, his aim true. Luxio broke out. He tried a Great Ball to the same result. Vesa huffed at being ignored. I'm not someone to mess around with, you know. At last, Indigo's Ultra Ball held the Luxio inside. Indigo pressed the ball to his chest, the voice of the spirit going quiet in his head after a simple, relaxed, yeah, thanks. Instead of addressing Vesa, Indigo stood and made a point of finding just the right spot in his sack to hold the ball before he so much as glanced her way. Noted on the not messing around with you stuff, but no matter how much I want my life to be normal again, you are the last person I would ever ask for help. He started down the road full of tension, his hands still on Umbreon's Pokeball and his ears tuned to Vessa's every movement. He'd been shot in the back with a Dark Pulse once. It wasn't happening again. And if memory serves, she doesn't need to bring out a Pokemon for that. She can do it herself. Learn their abilities somehow. Who was she between being an actual kid and this illusion-casting monster? That last thought gave him pause once again, and Vessa leapt at the opportunity. There's a small glade just east of here. Wild Pokemon avoid it and have for years. In the center of it, there's a hut. An ancient retreat, you might call it. The woman who lives there could help both of us if you talk to her. Dried grass bristled and snapped under Indigo's boots, each step slower than the last. He knew the area she meant. He always found it strange there were no Pokemon around there, and he'd seen the hut a few times when he'd approached out of curiosity. Who would want to live so alone? Or had they been forced to live out there? The last thing Indigo wanted was to take directions from Vessa. But it sounded like she wouldn't come with him or be involved. Not yet, anyway. So maybe visiting this place could work. Just to ask questions of whoever lived there? Indigo swallowed hard. He'd have to think about this for sure. That's all for this story. Good luck to everyone, and until next time, happy reading and happy training.